All right, welcome to another Facebook Live at Clark's Nutrition and Natural Foods Market. Glad to be with you this morning. Hopefully you guys can text your friends, maybe hit a quick response, get some folks in. Appreciate you guys coming in and watching another one. We've been getting a lot of responses, so I appreciate you guys getting different types of posts going so we can answer questions and help you out. And hopefully your morning's going really good. All right, so today's topic is going to be about cleansing and detoxification. So I'll give you guys a few minutes maybe to kind of gather your things together, and we're going to go kind of quick this morning. We've got some things scheduled up this morning, so we just want to be consistent and keep things rolling. A lot of you guys might have cleansed and detoxed before. It's something I usually do every single year, and I typically do it when I get back from Mexico. Every year in January, I go on a Mexico missions trip with a bunch of guys, and I hate to tell you, with 80 guys around and you just basically eat whatever is available, you just sit there and you grab whatever's done or done for you or put in front of you and you don't question it. I have a tendency to say that most of the time that I do what I call a 70-30 diet around the holiday seasons. What does that mean? Well, 70% of the time I'm trying to keep my diet as tight as I can, and the other 30% I just don't worry about it. When January starts coming around, I start going into what I call the 80-20 focus. And that 80% becomes a little bit more, concerned about what's going into my mouth and the things that had gone into my mouth the weeks before. And I started thinking, hey, I want to do a cleanse and a detoxification. Summertime comes and I want to see my abs. It's down to like 95.5, which means that, man, I'm honing it in on the diet for 6 weeks, making it 100% impeccable. And then somewhere along the line, I go back to the 80-20 and go back to living a little bit. So that said, I want to talk about detoxification. Very common topic this time of year. People start feeling like maybe just a little heavy in the gut. They're just not feeling it, quote unquote, as far as their digestive system maybe is a little bit weaker. And so a lot of people start coming in the door and they start wanting to talk about cleansing and detoxification. So cleansing and detoxification is nothing new. It's been around for centuries and thousands of years. There's some biblical principles in it. There's all sorts of different things with it. So it's nothing that's not uncommon to the day. And so, wanting to do a cleanse or a detox is completely normal. Typically, most nutritionists and herbalists will recommend that you do a detox and cleanse usually once to twice a year and sometimes 3 or 4 times a year. And they typically want you to do it during what they call a seasonal adjustment. So when we're going from like maybe winter to spring, so to speak. And you heard a lot of people talk about spring cleansing, or maybe we're going from fall to winter. It's another time to do cleansing and things of that nature. So I brought in a bunch of stuff, and I thought we would look at a couple of things. Number one, a lot of times people want to know about foods and juicing. Foods and juicing is one of the typical things that is done when it comes to cleansing and detoxification. So I brought some favorite foods of mine for that. Number one, I like to eat beets when I do cleansing. Believe it or not, I'll start adding some beets into my salads. And a lot of you guys are probably like, oh my God, I hate beets. And so there's a couple different ways you can do beets. I actually take beets and you can actually shred them, put them into a salad. If you add some things like spike as a seasoning, it kind of takes away that sharp flavor, so to speak. But it's one of the things that's excellent for cleansing out the liver. Okay. So the other thing what I like to do is eat a little bit more fruit. I concentrate a little bit more. Apples, I put some lemons up here. Lemons probably one of my number one things that I like to do, especially on the weekends. I'll sit there and just drink like lemon juice in my water throughout the day. Do that for 2 or 3 days in a row. The other thing I like to do, believe it or not, is grind off a little bit of the lemon grind and put it into the water itself, and I'll drink that as well. It just kind of has a tendency to cleanse out my liver, my gallbladder really nice, and make things feel a lot more clean, so to speak, on the inside, as well as my urinary tract. It's a little bit of a diuretic. So I also put these out there for another reason, and anybody that's doing any type of juicing, the classic Dr. Christopher formula, as well as the Dr. Walker formula for cleansing and detox, was a combination of carrots. And it's probably going to be like, if we're looking at a glass, it's going to be about 2/3 carrot juice. The other thing is going to be some beet juice. Maybe just about a small segment of beets. One whole beet would be the typical common denominator that's used. And the other 1/3 of the glass is going to be apples. So apples are a great detoxing moment. They help to move the bile through, kind of help with the liver, as well as kind of cleansing the bowel out at the same time. And finally, believe it or not, maybe just a half of a lemon squeezed in there as well too. So a lot of times we recommend, if you're going to do this, that you start out kind of slow, a couple of 2 or 3 ounces, and then like maybe later on in the day another 2 or 3 ounces, and go from there. So we can't talk about cleansing without talking about diet. So if we're thinking about diet, what do you want to do if you're going to do a cleansing diet? Well, first thing you want to do is have large amounts of vegetables, okay? So when it comes, as well as fruits, the biggest emphasis for me typically is more on the vegetables and not so much on the fruits. I have a tendency to think that too much fruit has a tendency to kind of make me feel a little like lightheaded, so I kind of stay away from that. I do more vegetables. So I do steamed vegetables, I do salads, huge focus on that. The other thing what I do is I do allow some grains into my diet. I do well with grains, so I kind of do well in a cleansing moment with it as well too. The two things that I allow in, first of all, I use oats, I use oatmeal. The other thing that I do is I'll do brown rice. Those are the two grains that I kind of allow into the diet that seems to do very well for me. So that becomes one of the big focuses. A lot of people don't, say that you shouldn't eat any protein. I still allow some protein into my diet. Typically it's going to be either lean fish or it's going to be lean chicken, and it's going to be a smaller amount of it. It's going to be a huge focus on the vegetables. And the other thing that I'm going to do too is usually eat a little bit more yams. I love yams in the diet when I'm doing some cleansing moment. It seems to be a good thing for my digestive system to make it work well. Big thing you want to eliminate, you want to get rid of. For me, I just drink water. I just I'm just going to drink water, and I drink tea. A little bit of juice, water and tea is going to, large amounts of water, a little bit of juice, and a little bit of tea is going to be my focus. My number one focus typically is going to be like ginger as well as peppermint, things of that nature, but I also will use the detox teas. And so these are kind of cool. These will have dandelion and a couple other different things that help the body to move. This is one of my favorite ones. I like the yogi teas. They work super well. The other thing you want to do is you want to eliminate any sugar. The sugar's got to be gone. And then also you got to get rid of what I call the white man's disease. You got to get rid of the white flour, the white sugar, the white rice, anything that's refined. Refined foods have got to be out, just done, okay? So another thing that I do is I usually will add in different types of herbs. And what I mean by that is capsulated herbal formulas or different types of maybe drink combinations that have all that together. So I'll kind of go through these things with you together real quick. So a lot of people say, well, what about milk thistle? Milk thistle is great. Milk thistle is good for detox and cleansing of the liver. But I usually want to use a little bit more. And so not saying that this isn't a great thing to use throughout the year. I think this is very important, very well done. And charcoal, a lot of people say, hey, what about charcoal? That's something you can use when you're doing a cleanse and a detox. Great way to get things out of the digestive system and kind of magnetize some of the toxins. Kind of helps with sometimes the bacteria. This is something that you can use on a regular basis. But once again, I usually focus in a little bit different areas. So not saying that's a bad thing, definitely a good thing. So then there's a lot of different types of food products that are out. So you look at this as this combination of different types of baobab and other different types of superfoods. This is a simple cleanse powder that can be added to it and added to your dietary regime. This is something of value as well too. When it comes to drinks, as I said, more focus on a little bit of juice, a lot of bit of water, and maybe a little bit of other things. In those little bit of other things, I do allow maybe some kombucha to come in. It seems to help to get my digestive system regular. And once again, the juices, if you can't do your own juicing, you might want to look in the stores. We've got a couple different companies, Evolution and some of the other companies that have a great juice product that's already pre-juiced for you. Go for the green stuff and maybe the carrot juice. The other thing that's cool, we have this farmhouse called Gut Shots. Okay, this is fun stuff. So it has a bunch of probiotics in it. I think probiotics are absolutely essential. Believe it or not, I usually focus on something really easy as well too for probiotics. And the liquid one, I like the live liquid bacterias. I like bringing those in. What I'll do is use this strong for about a month or so. All right, so let's talk a little bit about supplements. A lot of the guys might think, well, you know what, that's cool. I kind of got the food thing down. I'm feeling good about that. But what about some supplements? Well, one of the things that a lot of people will do is add some fiber in. That was the original colon cleanse. It was just a good old psyllium fiber formula. We have a couple different varieties of that. I like using the psyllium, but typically, like I said, with my diet, it ends up being pretty decent. I've got enough fiber coming in with all the vegetables. That said, you might want to do a simple cleanse, like a 3-day cleanse. This is a great formula. If you've never done any cleansing before, I would highly recommend that you put yourself in a position where you try an herbal cleanse for a short duration, not for a long duration. That said, follow the directions on the bottle. This is a formula that's designed for 2 or 3 different types of aspects when it comes to cleansing. First of all, it's going to help the liver and the gallbladder. Remember that when it comes to cleansing, the liver is one of the major components for cleansing and detoxification. The other major component is the intestinal system. There's specific cells that are in these areas that help with kind of packaging toxins and helping them speed them their elimination out of the system. So the small intestine, the colon, as well as the liver and the gallbladder and the kidneys. A formula like this has kind of everything all together, specifically like dandelion. It's also got milk thistle. It's also got cascara and some things that help to increase the motility in the intestinal tract. 3-day cleanse is a great way to start and see how well you do. If you like the cleansing effect the next time you try it, you might want to try something that's a little bit more aggressive. We have 7-day cleanses, we have 15-day cleanses, we have 30-day cleanses. I usually don't recommend anything more than the 7. 30-day cleanses, sometimes if they're light, I'll give you a little illustration of that in a bit, but usually a 7-day cleanse is the max, or a 14-day. This one I think runs about 10. This is one of the first cleanses that was on the market back in the 80s. I've done this more than once. I like this. This is the female version. There's a male version as well. In there, they kind of give you illustrations on how to take the supplements. Specifically, they kind of increase or take the supplements very slow at first and then increase the dosage for 3 to 5 days and then slowly taper the dosage back off and get you back to where your body's saying, okay, good, I've gone through the cleanse, put myself in a situation where I'm feeling better, and then it kind of slowly but surely takes you out of that to where you get back to normal protocol. There's also some dietary recommendations as well too. So simple cleanses, these are the things I like to do. A couple different ones. So the triphala is basically a combination of Indian gooseberry. It also has, in fact, let me look at it real quick, amla in there, and those are just some basic foods that have been used for centuries, and what it does is it kind of helps to restore balance. This is something that's more of a long-term cleanse, as well as this one, the Himalaya, very similar formulas. And these are designed basically to be used like maybe for a long term, you're really not focusing too much on the food concept, but you're trying to keep all the junk out, but you're not majorly focused on monster detoxification. The other one that I like too is this one, the Shape and Cleanse. And this is the one that I started on the other day. And I'll use this for about 7 to 14 days and sometimes up to 30 days. Get my digestive system kind of cleaned out, detoxed, and feeling better. So simple all the way to complex. The 7 days or the 3 days, or one where you're just using a couple capsules on a regular basis to keep yourself regular, and then paying attention to the diet. Then these are, like I said, these are a little bit more focused and a little bit different light, where it's like, okay, you're gonna get dead serious for like 2 weeks. It's like you're gonna go on their diet, you're gonna do the cleanse, you're gonna use a lot more capsules. This is not like a 2 or 3 day situation. This is where you're gonna be using 6 or 8 capsules with a fiber formula all together. So a couple different things, kind of lay it out there for you. If you have any questions about that, you're more than welcome to post, and we'll answer those questions for you. At the same time, coming into the stores, talking with one of the nutritional consultants is always an advantage, because what they can do is kind of work with you where you're at. You might be thinking, well, I heard a lot about this, I got questions. Come in, talk to the guys, the girls, and they might tell you, hey, this is my favorite, this is how I use it, this is what it requires. Are there negative effects with cleansing? Yes, there is. One of the things that you have to watch out for is if you cleanse too fast, you might get a little bit like almost like an upset stomach, some diarrhea, and you also might be in a situation where you kind of get like symptoms of the flu. Okay, so the first cleanse, I always recommend to be an easy cleanse. You don't want to go aggressive the first time. You want to take your time doing it. As I said, maybe a couple times during the year, it seems like each and every time that you do it, your body responds a little bit better, has less side effects and less complications. All right, that kind of wraps up today's sessions. Appreciate you guys coming in and watching. Please ask us any questions that you might have, as well as come into the stores and talk with the nutritional consultants. Thanks again for watching Facebook Live at Clark's Nutrition.